We have an amazing room of influencers, just as the panel take the seats. Left to right? First bum first. Where you want to be is an amazing group of influencers. So hands up anybody who's got a child, grandchild, niece or nephew under the age of 16. And keep your hand up if you're in a technology job. So do me a favour, by the end of Sunday, speak to that person, your niece, nephew, child, about your job in technology and see if you can get them interested in it. If you've got a 14-year-old son, he's interested in nothing. But if you see what you can do, and if you then go sideways with that, we're talking about 200 or 300 people that have then become slightly more interested. Because as parents and elders, you have a job to influence people to come into this sector as well. Education is not about devolved parenting. So, without further ado, that's a personal opinion. It's actually a good one though. So, without further ado, let's get on with this. We'll start with the panel at the far left-hand side. The panel's going to introduce themselves and give a 5-minute overview of where they are and how they're helping us in terms of, actually we're going to start with the slide order rather than me making it up as I go along. Sorry girls. So we're going to start with Lorna. A bit of background on where you are, what you're doing, and what you're doing to change where we're at just now, please.
Sitting here?
Sitting there would be perfect, yes, thank you.
I'm short enough as it is. Good afternoon. Okay, I've got the end of term lurgy, so I already think it's afternoon because I've been up for some time. My name is Lorna Gibson. I look after Code Club for Scotland, which is part of the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And so when we're talking about the kind of women in tech spectrum, I'm going to be talking about that kind of that end of the spectrum, about the early grassroots interventions. So what we do is we support by providing free materials to support after school, lunchtime, breakfast club, coding clubs, or when they come to work in libraries or community centres or other venues. Sometimes they're later in the evening, sometimes they're at the weekends. But the idea is to give every child possible the opportunity to try some coding, to try some digital making. I'm really passionate on a personal level with this idea that actually we need to give young people an opportunity to try lots of different things. You don't realise you have a natural ability or an interest in something unless you have a try. So my 2 children get to try all sorts of sports because eventually something will make their heart sing. And that's why I'm passionate about coding, because actually, we need to have an opportunity to try it out. Primary school is an amazing time to try it out. Because you get there before there's too much of a confidence gap, you can get there before whatever happens with hormones properly take place, and you start to switch between, well, that's a girl thing and that's a boy thing, and you can just get it when they're really engaged with just trying it and doing new things. So in the last 2.5 years, we've grown from about just under 40 clubs to 440, so I think we're heading in a good direction. We have lots of people engaged in doing things. We have about 45% of the clubs that respond to me and tell me their numbers are girls, so I think that's partly because of the primary age that we aim to target. I know I started, so I used to work in university, I took a career break. The university required me to give 3 months notice, which is enough time to panic about taking a career break. And so I approached my local school because I'd heard about Code Club, and I started as a volunteer, and I still volunteer there to this day. And what I realised going in was actually there's something really special that lots of us can do about going in, whether it's regularly or ad hoc, into a school situation and being a credible role model for young girls, to show them that they have lots of teachers as credible role models, but teachers kind of get pushed to be a bit like parents, and what do they know about the real world? So going in as someone external allows them just to see that there are real live people that do this kind of job in my area. Which is why I also get really excited when we have companies come on board that have got nice office spaces, and they say, well, actually, we'd love to have a Code Club here, because all the teachers in the audience will know that actually positive destinations for learners is what we're all aiming at. And how great is it for them to go in and have the world of work and see the experience by doing a Code Club in a nice swanky building that looks a bit like some of the things you see on the American movies, but it's there in Scotland, it's down the street from where they live. And they don't have to perceive that they have to move to London or Silicon Valley to do this kind of job. And then they also get to experience the diversity of jobs. But yeah, when I go in to schools and other people go to schools, I'm conscious that I'm there as a credible role model, not just for the girls, if we can inspire some more girls, that's great. But actually for the boys too, because actually what I want to do, I have 2 sons, I want to normalise the girls in technology idea. I want them to be nothing remarkable when they go to secondary school, higher, further education, when they go into the workplace, that there's a girl in the team, there's a girl in charge, there's a girl teaching them. There should be nothing remarkable about that. And I think by having credible role models earlier on and lots of experience earlier on, that's really important. And just to kind of normalise that. And I'm a bit of a talker, so I'm I stick to the 5%. No. So I think, am I doing? I'm not.
Well, you saw with the 1 minute sign, that was about 2 minutes ago. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm joking. No, not at all.
And I'll shut up there. We're normalising.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Lorna. And you can see the passion that's there. And there's lots to talk about today, so let's get our heads around that. Debbie at the front here will be holding up a 1 minute sign. So stick with it. Thank you very much, Lorna. Tony, could you tell us about where you're from, what you do, and how you're contributing here, please?
Hi everybody, I am Tony Scullion, so I'm a computing science teacher from West Lothian. And just to give you a bit of background, there are 11 schools, secondary schools in West Lothian. And just to blow on trumpet, we have the most number of girls that we present across West Lothian. So we are doing something amazing. And also nationally as well, like we are above the national range, which is awesome. But I'd love to tell you my secret, but we actually don't really know. So we've kind of spoke to the girls, and we have sort of came up as a department as well on what we think we are doing. We're doing something right, but it's really hard to pinpoint it. And I think the fact that we've not really had the opportunity, and I think this is something that we'll do in future, to go into other schools and try and see like what is it that we do differently, and maybe that will help us. But I'll give you a little bit, so hopefully this will help. First of all, I think physical computing is one of the most important things that we found, and I know that when I was younger, and like when I got hooked into computing was when I was editing a little bit of HTML and I changed like the background page to red, and that was magic, a magical moment, and I always like remember that feeling, and that's something that I really want to recreate and give that moment, like that oomph, like that absolutely amazing, exciting moment onto kids. But unfortunately nowadays it's really hard to impress kids, and they're not impressed by changing the background colour. So what we found with, we've been really fortunate. We've got like Makey-Makeys and Microbits and Lego robots, and we've got lots of physical computing, which is great. And I think what we found the moment when a kid makes their name appear like on a little badge on a microbit and takes off a computer, and they're like, I've done that. Like that excites them. So I think physical computing for us has been a real impact, like for girls as well as boys, like Lorna was saying. Also when we found like the magical moment is when like a kid programs a robot and makes a robot do a spin, and they're like, that's amazing, I've done that. And you're like, yes, like that's it. And I think we do very, very well at capturing their imagination and getting them in the door in third year, and then we keep them, which is also great. So it's not only doing well in VG and hooking the excitement and the enthusiasm, it's also we manage to keep them and inspire them somehow into wanting to pursue a career and going into like advanced higher and stuff. So currently we've got like 15 kids at advanced higher, which is huge, and again the biggest advanced higher class across the council, and 7 of them are girls, which is amazing. Another thing as well I think we do really well is creativity. So we try and teach them the basics. So like coding games, we do make a scratch game, which we always do with first and second years, and we'll tell them how to make a character move and so on, but we would never prescribe it and say, I want you to make like a maze game and it needs to do this, so everybody in the class are doing the same thing. And it's taking inspiration from clubs like Code Clan and stuff, like they're just brilliant, like they've got amazing resources out there, so it's been really easy for us to take inspiration from other websites, but giving kids the creativity and like using their own imagination and saying, do whatever you want, and we're just kind of there as a guide, so that has really worked well. As well, role models, like I've got 2 lovely girls at the back, so they will be able to vouch for me hopefully, but within our department we've got 4 members, and 3 of us are female. All different ages, all different like walks of life I suppose, but we do really believe, and again research has shown that like role models seem to work. So yeah, I think that's another thing. And then as well, momentum, I think we were speaking to the girls earlier, and I do think word of mouth spreads and the excitement goes, so they're like, oh, you should pick this subject, so I think that does help. But the probably last thing that I would have to say that we do really well is we love our subject and we love our job, and we're so excited about it, and I do think that genuinely comes across in the classroom, and hopefully that helps. But I'm really proud to say that as a school we don't have a gender gap, which is amazing. And I would love to give you more and be able to say it's this, this and this, but we're not really sure. So hopefully that's helpful. But don't know if it is. But I do have 2 school representatives at the back, so feel free to speak to them as well, and hopefully they'll give you a little bit of insight. Thanks.
Lots of love and lots of passion in there, Tony. Thank you very much. Chris, there's the bar set for you. You've got to go and challenge that one. You've travelled all the way from Wick to today, last night.
Yeah, so it's a kind of long journey all the way from Wick. If you don't know where Wick is, just keep travelling north. So Tony's pretty much given all my speech. There's not much I can say to kind of add to that. But I mean, all I can say is that we in Wick try to embed creativity, relevance and teamwork into everything that we do. Primarily because it's fun and I quite enjoy it. But for the last few years we've seen a 50-50 split in boys and girls choosing computing science. We see them from second year upwards, and from second year onwards we try to ensure that all our work is project based and that creativity is at the heart of everything that we do. If I'm honest, we came across it a little bit by accident. We did some projects and we found that it just kind of worked for us. What I did when I first came into teaching was I saw kids who were in technical departments and they were really proud of what they were producing. What they were producing in technical, whether it's a clock, a table, or as it was in my case, an ashtray. I don't think it's a little bit PC anymore. But what they were producing was relevant to them. They were using the skills that they'd learned and applied them and built something that they were proud to take home and tell their parents about. So from that point on, we really wanted to ensure that creativity was at the heart of everything that we did in computing. In first to third year education, we try to do a lot of project-based stuff. So we get kids to do design competitions using Google Glass, Amazon Echo, and so on. But our biggest key player in encouraging girls to study computing science is our Apps for Good course. If you haven't heard of it already, Apps for Good is a course where students work as a team to identify a problem that is relevant to them, and then design a solution, and then market their idea and take part in competition to get their app made professionally. Over the last 4 years, we've seen an increasing number of girls choosing this course, and an increasing number of girls winning this course. We have won 4 out of the last 5 years nationally. What we find is that this course really is something that is relevant to them. We think the teamwork aspect of it, we think the creativity and the freedom aspect of the course is what works. So as you can see, everything that Tony is saying is pretty much what I'm saying as well. What we have in that course is a freedom to learn at a depth that is needed by them. So we don't prescribe what's in the course. They identify the problem themselves and then go all the way through marketing, design, and then building. To give you an example, last year we had a group of girls who made an app for the Amazon Echo voice control system to make the perfect pancakes. This year we've got a group of girls called Tartan Badges who are developing an app to encourage young girls to practice their Highland dancing. And they've gone from no coding experience to using APIs and designing apps using cloud database systems to within a month they've learned all these skills. And what we find is we see girls growing in confidence over that year, and then from that year we then see girls choosing to study at National 5 and beyond. And when I speak to the girls in the class, when they first start, they think, I can never ever do this. But by the end of the year, you see a change in them. You see that they have got the confidence that they will then choose that as a national subject and then possibly beyond it as a career. And we are now seeing that move into studying at university, and then for the first time ever we're seeing them move into industry. So we're very excited to see creativity, relevance, and teamwork embedded in curriculums, because I think that's working really well.
Without being cheeky, Chris, go and say Wick again.
Wick.
Wick, yeah, thank you. So passion, creativity, teamwork, collaboration, excitement, love. What's wrong here? We all want this in our workplace. We all want this as employers. So how do we make this happen in a greater, better way for us moving forward? It's all happening in schools and in these areas, so we really need to get on top of that a bit more and engage and make this happen and deliver. Louise, over to you.
Yes, again, just building on all the wonderful things that have already been said on the panel. I am a primary teacher to trade. I'm currently seconded to Education Scotland. And again, I'd really just like to say, I don't think there's ever been a better time to be a pupil in a school today. We have got such amazing access to a wealth of hugely contemporary resources, starting all the way down at early level for our nursery practitioners, primary and moving on to secondary. Such resources like code.org, the resources that we get from Code Club are just simply phenomenal, and the support we get as practitioners, as primary teachers from Code Club is superb. And really that is why so many teachers are now turning to get engaged with computing science. Also, being part of Education Scotland, we've obviously had to react to the demands of industry, to the demands of our teachers, to the demands of our learners. And we've recently published our new technologies, our refreshed technologies, experiences and outcomes. And I hope that a number of the practitioners that are sitting here today will agree with me that they are now contemporary, and more importantly, they do meet the needs of a new generation of learner out there. Also, on top of our refreshed technologies, experiences and outcomes, we also launched last week the new benchmarks. The benchmarks, I know again as a primary teacher, our educational teachers have been crying out for benchmarks to support them with Curriculum for Excellence. They are now there. They will ensure a consistency across Scotland, a consistency of learning, a consistency of attainment, and probably more importantly than ever, a consistency of attainment through those transition points between nursery, primary and secondary. So for me, these are just greatly welcomed, and again, there's lots of people from education here sitting in the audience, so I'd love to get an opportunity to speak to some of you today about that. Over and above the experiences and outcomes in the new benchmark, I've also been involved in working with teachers to create gender-specific computing science lesson plans. And again, just building on what Tony and Chris have been speaking about, creativity does sit at the heart of these lesson plans. Creativity should sit at the heart of computing science. As a primary teacher, I've never had an issue with gender problems when engaging girls in computing science, because I've always done it through interdisciplinary learning. That means seeing those links between literacy, social subjects, the arts, sciences, etc., and actually seeing how computing science can be embedded into the subject. So that's been hugely successful for me, but also that is what these plans are based on. So again, if any of you are able to come to workshop number 1 this afternoon, only if you're booked into it, but if you want to see the preview, please give me a shout, because I'd love to share some of these plans with you. They will all be available via Glow, so everyone in education will be able to see them, and hopefully again I'll maybe speak to Katie about how we can actually make them available for others to access as well. We have got examples such as a primary teacher who was studying Mary Queen of Scots with his children, and he's created a huge termly lesson plan dedicated to Mary Queen bots. And honestly, the ideas that have come from these lesson plans have just been phenomenal. We've got a teacher sitting here today, and her 2 lessons are dedicated completely to the teaching French. And this is starting at first level, so this is our primary 2s, our primary 3s, engaging in understanding how to speak French, but actually doing it through computing science. That's so exciting and so meaningful. Joy's just sitting up at the back there, so Joy wants to... how many other teachers do we have here who've been engaged in the gender lesson plans? Jo's up at the back there, Michael's there. So please speak to this teacher. Chris has also been involved in writing these plans. And again, Chris and both Jo will be speaking about the plans that they've created. But they are phenomenal. But the key to this is ensuring computing science is interdisciplinary, it is engaging for children, engaging for girls, and it's at the heart of it is creativity. And I don't think I have anything else.
Super slick, right on time as well. Thank you very much. 5-minute Q&A. Okay, so I'm married to a primary teacher, and I'm fortunate that I'm obviously married to a primary teacher, because she keeps telling me that. But the educational system where she's teaching IT and services in that space is really challenging, and there's a lot of self-sought information and teaching that she's doing. So it's fantastic to hear that these resources are growing and developing. We've got 5 minutes for a couple of questions from the floor. So if you'd like to stick your hand up and tell us who you are, where you're from, and then what your question is, obviously, we'll do our best to get through a few in these if you'd like. Yes, lady there.
I'm Katie, work at Free Agent in legal operations teams. We're a software company. Are there opportunities for employers to get involved in some of your initiatives, and are there where we find?
So just did everybody in the room hear the question? Katie's from Free Agent, great company, but she's looking at further opportunities, how employers get involved in this process and how that happens. Maybe start with you, if that's okay.
I know that we, especially
Yeah, go on.
especially with we are really looking at cybersecurity and stuff just now, and we're crying out to get employers. So please speak to me after, and we would love to get involved, because we've also got a problem as well. We don't really know how to get in touch with employers, so I think there is that barrier. So yeah, come and speak to me after, please. That'd be awesome.
I know that the Girl Geek Scotland project, and I know that I've only spoken to folk from Girl Geek Scotland over the phone, so I don't know who you are, but there is someone sitting in the audience, I think. Oh, hello.
My name
Let's-
is Magda, I'm from Girl Geek. So
Excellent.
I'm Jane speaking as well.
There is a project that's currently underway, and Katie will also be able to perhaps speak to you about that. But that is a big issue with trying to get industry into school and finding the time to liaise. I'm a primary teacher from Dundee, and I would always be picking up the phone to the likes of Bright Solid or Future Fossils or all the great game designers that are out there, to bring them into the school and really bring to life some of our projects. But I know through this project it's trying to make those links more seamless. But it's not an easy thing to do.
Sorry to interrupt. We also have Stuart from SmartStay who's going to be speaking later today, so he was telling you also how we can do that.
Can I just, sorry.
Of course, carry on.
No, and I was just going to say, and we work with lots of different organisations to support code clubs in lots of different ways. So if you're interested to grab me for a card and stuff like that, we can have a chat about that. But yeah, we're interested in working. It's actually a real live person. I'm not saying any dead people into schools at all, but you know, a tangible, credible person going in saying this is what they do for a job is just, you know, it's mind blowing for some children, particularly in some areas.
Apps for Good have a thriving expert community, so as part of the course, obviously teachers can't do it all, so they encourage experts to register with Apps for Good, and it's multidisciplinary, so whether you're in marketing, business, app design, the coding side, there's opportunities for lots of engagement with experts, and they will link you with schools, so please contact Apps for Good and they'll put you in touch.
Anything else from the floor? Gentleman there.
Hi there, my name is Robbie Robinson. I work for JP Morgan. I'm a STEM ambassador, and I also teach a code club, which is a fantastic thing to get involved with. So I do encourage everyone, if you're not doing it, please go out and do it. So a little plug for you.
I'll pay you later.
I do a lot of work in secondary schools as well, and what I see in my code club is that 50-50 gender split. When I go into the secondary school, I mean, you two teachers there are almost the exception. It almost like falls off a cliff face with the gender split. So is there any link between what the Code Club are doing in primary schools and how we can capture that information about the girls that are taking that and then encourage them to continue on that journey when they go into secondary school? Because it almost feels like we don't capture that detail, and if they're not going into school where they're set up for it and it's engaged, they're almost like lost, and that good work kind of falls by the wayside, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that they're very conscious at the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So in January we launched a new programme targeting kind of 12 to 15-year-olds called Pioneers. And so like your Code Club stuff, like what these guys were saying, you know, because it's run up to April Fools, and I'm not sure how many teachers were happy that the topic was pranks, but the idea was they were to come up with some sort of, using any form of technology, it's not prescriptive to using a Raspberry Pi, but this kind of themed opportunity competition idea that's kind of free reign and creativity. And in terms of the teams, I ended up supporting some kids at my local school doing one, so I stopped seeing the entries, but there was a really good mix of all girl teams and teams with girls, and everything from dance mats that made farting noises to anything else you could imagine. So it's something that we're quite aware of, and this activity we'll continue to look at. But anybody has any ideas or have things that we should explore, I'm happy to take that back to the organisation as well.
Perfect. Time for, sorry,
So
Chris.
one thing I would say to add to that is that clubs are great as extracurricular work, but I do think we have to start embedding computing science in for everyone to access. I do think that what we see in primary schools is enthusiasm that is not gender specific. There's no confidence gap there. They are really engaged at all levels, but we have to ensure that computing science, all kids are exposed to, not just extracurricular. It has to be within the curriculum.
Please join me in thanking Lorna, Tony, Chris and Louise.